good, man? I'm back, and well, it happened. John has retired. I can't say I'm surprised. I'm really not. I expect this to happen. I literally said in the video I made, was it back in March? I said, I believe this fight's never going to happen between him and Tom Aspinall. And I also said that in my video back in November from UFC 309, I said John probably waited a couple months and then retired, trying to drag it out, and that's literally what he did. And, well, I guess the best thing I could probably do is just have a whole career breakdown, I guess. Starting from the beginning of his title reign, which is against Shogun Rua. Now, John just completely beat the fuck out of Rua. Finished him in the third round. Fight wasn't competitive at any point. And yeah. Beats a prior legend, Shogun Rua. Then fights Rampage Jackson. And yeah, piece of shot from too. Not really a close fight. Like I'm saying, like these first 4 or 5 fights of John's title reign is not gonna be competitive at all. He didn't start getting into trouble till like later down this until the Gustin in the first fight. So all these fights are just dominant performances. He dominated Rashad 50-45. Well, Machia gave him some troubles early on, but then John just made adjustments and finished him. Dropped him with I think it was a right hand, right? And he put him in the guillotine, and yeah, that was it. One of the coldest pictures in MMA history, I would say. And then Vitor Belfort, he almost got stuck in the armbar. But outside of one armbar, it was really not competitive at all. Of course, Chelsea on that fight was competitive, except that John broke his toe in this fight, and that's kind of one of the reasons he wears that little tape on his, or wore his tape on his big toe, on his, I forgot what foot it was on. I don't look at feet, but yeah. This is the main reason why he wears that tape on his little toe, whatever. Because, you know, he broke his toe out trying to beating the fuck out of Chael, I guess. I mean, we all know who really won this fight. This is just fake right here. Chael beat the fuck out of John Jones. And now we got the first fight between him and Gustin. Now, my opinion, I scored that fight probably like 3-2 to Jones. I haven't watched that fight at all recently. It's been years since I watched that fight. But I think I had it either 4-1 or 3-2 to Jones. I know 4-1 is crazy, but I had it 3-2 to Jones, 48-47 Jones. And I kind of see how Gustin could have really won the fight. I think the commentary is just kind of like meat rod. You know what I mean? You know, Joe Rogan and Goldberg, they sometimes be just biased. It's so obvious, especially Joe Rogan. It really sticks out a lot these days. It is 7th title defense beating against Glover Teixeira, which was pretty dominant. Glover didn't even have a chance to win this fight. In my opinion, one of my favorite John Jones performances ever at light heavyweight, easily. And then he fights Daniel Cormier, a fight that was built up for a long time, a whole rivalry going on. In my opinion, one of my favorite rivalries in MMA. Means the two bad wasn't around. I always watch the sport around this time, but man, it's good to look back on this rivalry and just, yeah, see all the the build up, see DC, seeing that one. What was that one video when DC said, I'll come over there and spill in your face, and then John was talking about something, you know, I'll absolutely kill you if you ever did something like that. That shit was hilarious, bro. But he beats DC. DC had some good moments in the fight, but overall, John was just better with his experience, and he actually took DC down I think it was 5 times, I'm pretty sure. And yeah. Next, oh yeah, this was in John's out because of the hit and run incident and all that. We all know this. This was fight Anthony Robert Johnson. And in my opinion, that wouldn't really, I wouldn't say tough fight for John on the feet for sure, because Rumble had a lot of fucking power. But I think if that fight's happened, I think John probably would submit him. But then next, he fights OSP because DC pulled out their fight with leg injury. Not the best performance from John, but to be fair, he was already out for a year and some time, you know. But not the best John performance. Definitely a performance I'd never watch back again. That fight was not the best John Jones performance you'll ever see. It was a very uneventful as well. And to be fair, it was a very rusty John Jones. And I believe if DC fought John Jones that night, DC would have beat him that night. I'm being honest, he definitely would have, bro. And then of course the fight got scheduled again. This fight here made John an interim champion. Well, look at that. DC fought the interim champion. I'm just saying, bro. But then he was supposed to fight DC, and then guess what? Your boy John Jones popped the week of the fight for UFC 200 and fucked up basically. Mainly, the entire card kind of got fucked up. The main event was Tay versus Nunes, which, I mean, come on now. dude. But DC in the fight, Anderson Silva beat him in very not kind of unfaithful performance as well from DC. And then DC ends up fighting against John again, where John wins. And then about like a month later, it gets turned to a no contest because once again, your boy popped. And yeah, DC ends up going on to become, or ends up defending his belt again against Volkan Ozdemir. And after that, he went to, I'm pretty sure he went to heavyweight, beat Stipe, and then beat Derek Lewis, and then loses to Stipe 2 times and retires. And then he fights Gustin again. But at this point, Gustin was pretty much done in his career. He had already lost to DC and Rumble, and yeah, it was pretty much over at this point for his career. He had some good moments. He had this. I think his last win prior to this was against Glover. So he had that crazy uppercut. It was like 3 uppercuts in a row. He knocked Glover out in a pretty dominant performance. But yeah, John just pretty much, I wouldn't say made it look, well, he kind of did make it look easy. Gustin definitely had some good moments, but it was pretty much John just controlling the entire fight and staying away from Gustin's punches and best getting Gustin to be the person to chase him. And that's kind of one thing John did kind of good in his career. John wasn't the best fighter while, I'll say, pressing forward. He wasn't the best fighter pressing forward, but when he was backing up, he was able to get his opponents, he was able to, kind of beat his opponents in an easier way. You know what I mean? And he did that to Gustin in this fight. He was allowing Gustin to press forward, and then he ended up getting an easy takedown, facing with ground pound. That was pretty much it. And then we already know what happened in the Lionheart Smith fight. John was already dominating the fight. He was minus 800, but he was already dominating the fight. And then I think it was like a legal knee. I forgot which round it was in. This was like fucking like 5-6 years ago. I barely remember this fight, but all I know is just John was just beating the shit out of him the entire time. And yeah, Anthony Smith had the chance to actually take the belt from John by DQ, but he didn't want to win the belt that way. That's kind of one of the reasons I still respect Anthony Smith. A lot of people don't respect him now, mainly because of the way he says things, and like mainly because of the things he says on his podcast or in general, you know what I mean? But I still respect Anthony Smith for making this decision to actually continue fighting instead of taking the belt from John. And next is fight with Thiago Santos, a very close fight. Now, hey, I'm not gonna. I had this fight for 3-2. John, I rewatched this fight a couple years ago, and I had John winning it. But watching it live, shit, it was a close one, bruh. Thiago could have possibly won, but even not. Could you imagine if Thiago had actually won anyways? Because Thiago was already injured from this fight with John. He probably would vacate the belt, and then John probably would have fought for it again. He probably would have beat Thiago in a rematch, for being honest. Because one thing that I gotta say about John Jones in his career, he tends to do a lot better in rematches. He does. But John wins the fight by split decision, and Thiago becoming the first person to beat John Jones on one scorecard, which is a pretty crazy stat if you think about it. Now we got this one. John Jones versus Dominic Reyes. Now I'm not gonna hold you. I thought Reyes won this fight, especially when I was watching it live. Reyes won this fight first 3 rounds, but that 3rd round was kind of close, man. I think I would say Reyes won like the first half of that round, or even like majority of that round. But it was really, I think what the judges really saw is the end of the round when John started pressing forward. Outside, I really don't know how the judges gave John this fight, but to be fair, that was in Houston, right? And that car already had some pretty bad robberies on it, I'm pretty sure. Let's see. Let's go back. This fight was kind of a robbery. This fight was a robbery, I'm pretty sure. What's another fight? I'm forgetting. This fight was a robbery. Like, a lot of the judges' decisions was kind of fucked up. And it's always been like that when they go to Houston, I guess. Or, yeah. And then John goes with for 3 years. And bulks up to heavyweight, I guess. When he was trying to fight, well, the main plan what to happen was for John to fight Francis. But John's still bulking up to be for, which I'll give him that. He was still bulking up to become a heavyweight and still trying to like see how his body is really in his heavyweight build. And I understand that. I understand why John didn't fight Francis at that time. Cause come on now. He can't just bulk up and be just a fat light heavyweight. That won't work out. He has to really have his body adjust to that heavyweight style. And then he comes back and fights Cyril Gane for the vacant title. UFC 285. And well, he submits him. Pretty easy performance for John. It's like still didn't want to be there for that fight, being honest. And yeah. And then we move on. Oh no, hold on a second. We gotta talk about this. So then after that, John called out Stipe. They were scheduled to fight UFC 295. And then John pulled out because he tore his pec while training. And then that's what led to the whole Arsenal situation, where Arsenal ended up fighting Sergey Pavlovich, which I already remember around the time. Like a lot of people saying that Pavlovich was the dude to beat John Jones. I mean, throughout John's career, there are a lot of people out there that people are saying like, "Oh, this is the guy to beat John Jones." Like people are saying that about Johnny Walker. Y'all see what Johnny Walker's career is at right now, or how he got kind of fried checked by Corey Anderson. But John ends up tearing his pec, and then Tom also gets a shot at the interim title against Sergey Pavlovich, both top contenders. And then Tom just gets him out there pretty easily. And then yeah, that's what a whole ducking narrative started, or not narrative. It was actually true. I believe John was ducking Aspinall. I do believe that. And then he fights Stipe, which at this point, come on now, bro. We didn't see this fight. Maybe if it was like, maybe if Aspinall like, or maybe if the Aspinall and Pavlovich fight was never scheduled. I understand we saw this fight, but dude, we do not want to see you beat up on a 42-year-old Stipe that's far out of his prime, who had been gone from the fight game for 3 years, coming off of a knockout loss. So John pretty much makes it look easy, beats the fuck out in the first round. Second round was kind of a little close. Third round, he just finished him with a spinning back kick. And then fast forward to now, John just, well, over the past couple months or after this fight, John's like saying, "Oh, Aspinall doesn't interest me. He doesn't excite me to fight him or whatever. I want to start having fun fights." I remember he even said he wants to fight Derek fucking Lewis. Dude, listen. I don't got anything with these people that think John Jones is their GOAT. In my opinion, I still got John Jones #1 on my list, mainly because of what he's done inside the octagon. If we're talking about other, like, in my opinion, like, if we're talking about outside the octagon, in my opinion, the best representation of mixed martial arts has to be either GSP or Demetrius Johnson. Two great fighters that never involved any controversy or anything. So yeah, that's pretty much it right there. John Jones has retired at 28-1. His one loss coming all the way back here to Matt Hamill for the 12-6 elbows, which are now legal. So you could say technically John Jones is undefeated. But yeah, I really didn't want to break down his entire UFC career. I just wanted to break down his title reign and the great things he did with it. But if I were to rate his career out of 10, I'd definitely say it's probably like a 10. John did great. His light heavyweight title reign. He had some great wins. And I kind of like, this is one thing I kind of want to talk about like people that like watch this sport. They love saying that John was beating on like old middleweights. Bro, you do realize in this era, those were the only people John had to fight. Were those old middleweights that came from Pride. Those are the people who had to fight. You can't blame John for doing that. He was beating the fuck out of people that he had to fight, man. Now I understand now people's like calling this. And on top of that, like another thing I want to say is like, oh, people's like, oh, John, he always fought old people. Dude, John was the youngest champion in UFC history. Of course he's going to be fighting people that's way older than him. Come on, bro. But I do believe John had left behind a great legacy in MMA. I don't think we'll ever see another John Jones ever again. I don't think we ever will see another John Jones. Hopefully we do. I would like to see that. Someone to be as dominant as John and rack up a shit ton of title defenses and actually be active with John. That's my only problem with John as a fight. He was not active enough. But on that note, man, I'm out, man. Peace. Yeah. See y'all next week. And yeah, I have to give out 2 videos in one day. I have to talk about this whole John Jones situation. And I want to see Aspinall versus Cyril God next. Which I think Aspinall's probably back to. He could potentially end up being a heavyweight GOAT. Because I don't see anybody beat him. Because heavyweight looks so trash right now, bro. Like, it's so dumb, man. But yeah, on that note, man, I'm out. Peace. See y'all next week.